Neshama and Ruach, they have many personalities on the lower level?
No, Neshama doesn't.
At the lower level, there are many personalities, many
Yeah,
individuals.
the many personality would be down here.
Hmm.
Yeah, many forms. So the Kabbalah said that in the personal repair thought, you could have your choice, because there's no hell in Kabbalah. There's no such thing, there's just imbalance. But there is purgatory, and purgatory to them is the place where you go to reflect. And they said you can either come back and reincarnate, or you can sit in purgatory. It makes no difference which one you decide to do. If you've sinned, and again, the sin is going either to the right or to the left. So somebody thinking that they're a saint and holier than everybody else would be on this level, and somebody that thinks that they know the truth and everybody else is ignorant, or everybody has to follow their truth, would be on this level, and to them that's the sin. I'm being balanced.
In this view, are souls created at the human level, or are the souls evolve upward even from the
The
animal
nefesh.
kingdom? Or the souls evolve upward even from the animal kingdom?
That all be nefesh.
But is that the case, that souls in this view evolve from animal forms and lower forms?
You know, the Kabbalah, it's an interesting question, because, you know, there's some Kabbalists, like Rav Kook, who was a contemporary, he was in the 1930s. So he said, yes, animals have a chance to evolve, and they have a nefesh. There's no consensus on that. A lot of the old medieval ones and the ones before never dealt with that. But they did say it's very important for your own soul to treat animals with respect in the human.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's no consensus on that that I know of. Okay, so that's the first step. So the next step is going up from the physical back to Yesod, and to do that, you have to shed your assumptions about yourself. And so the healing process means that you give up the idea that who you are has anything to do with what happened to you. Now you already know, I told you what they say who you are. It's the neshama. All this is to create consciousness. So the idea that we get lost if we're trying to heal is how many people know other people or yourselves that think who you are is the way you responded, or the way to your life's difficulties, or your life's gifts. How many people get arrogant if they're successful, or how many people get depressed if they're unsuccessful. And the Kabbalah said all that has nothing to do with who you are. That's just what's happened to you, but has nothing to do with you. And they said that's not even the level of what we call karma, which they call goraim, which is causes effect, which is just the things that prevent you from fulfilling your destiny to express something unique. That at this level is to be at peace no matter what happens to you, and not confuse yourself with the events that you experienced. So if you start thinking, you know, that I'm a great person because I saved lives, or I did this, I did that, if you start judging yourself on your accomplishments, they'll say you're going to get stuck down here. And what will happen is you'll do over and over again what you think you're doing, and have the confusion that if you'll do it better next time, the more you learn. And they'll say that that's actually the opposite of what you need to be doing. You need to get to a point of non-doing where you know that all the symptoms, all the horrible things, and all the great things have literally nothing to do with who you are. And all the symptoms you had is because you didn't get to fully express at this point what you intended. Okay? And so at this level, as the healing process goes backwards from the creation process, you go to Hod, which is the level of the archetypes, and at this point, after you really embrace, no matter how long it takes you, that everything that's happened to you is not your identity, then what do? You have to start realizing that you're going to have to make changes, negotiate what you're willing to do to heal.
So it's okay to go off to the left when you're going?
This is a healing process. This is not the creation stuff. Everybody's going to go off the left. It's a regulatory system. But it's when the regulatory system gets broken that you're not going to, it's not going to bring you back to center. Just like in our bodies. We have extremely sophisticated regulatory systems that keep us functioning, and then when we think we're smarter than nature, we override them with drugs, we override them with excess, I guess. You know, those of us that have gotten obsessed with hormones and brain chemistry realize the more the science comes out, the more sophisticated and how delicate the regulatory system is. And that it's the last thing one should do is override it. So it's the same thing the Kabbalists was saying, that you're not going to be always in the center because what are you trying to do? Might pick an option over here, or you might pick an option over here, but you have a system that's going to bring you back to center so you can actualize it. But if you destroy your solutions, you're not going to come back to center. So the negotiations, and that's usually where a lot of people come to see me, is when they're in that stage. We've gone through healing. And in that stage, they want to change their diet, they want to meditate more, they want to do other things to make them healthier. They want to make a deal, if I sleep 8 hours, be nice to everybody, and do yoga, will I have a long and healthy life and have more fun? This is basically what happens. So negotiate, it's not exactly the right rule, you're not bargaining, but you are looking at things and looking at the consequences of your choices, because when you're healing at that level, you realize you can't do everything. You can't be scattered, you need to be focused. So at this level, which is new material, is you need to be in the moment. And what's it going to take you to bring you back into the moment and be present? So you can heal and complete your life. So that's the ultimate of the negotiation. It's nothing to do with what you eat or not eat, which, of course, we know you have to eat food in its natural form. So the healing process goes from here to here, and then it goes across to Netzach. And what do you have to overcome at Netzach? Somebody alluded to last week. It's what you've suppressed in order to keep functioning in a hostile environment. So so that's Netzach means victory. What are you going to be victorious of? What makes us ill and keeps us from being whole is what's not conscious, what's been suppressed. So at this level, it's when people start becoming symptomatic, when they start to heal, because at this level, it's the emptying process. That means all that was suppressed in you that you forgot or you couldn't deal with or it was too much has to come to surface. Okay. That makes sense? That's really difficult. Because all of us have things buried inside us. So that's like one of my cousins said years ago. He said, that's when you have to open up the closet and let the skeletons out.
Mm-hmm. I do have a question. You say go here and go there. What does that mean? Who or what is going on what, where?
Your own consciousness, your own sense of self. This is your personal healing. There's a whole universal level, but on a personal level, this is how we heal. We go through these different stages.
So if your consciousness goes to Hod say, what is Hod? What does it go to? How does my consciousness go there?
At Hod,
Or that's not, it doesn't matter, whichever thing you go to,
well,
how do you go
the
there?
key what happens, in my experience, is people skip around. And that's one of the reasons that you're here to learn the structure. So you realize that everything has its own time, and that you go through the process, and that inherent in anything that becomes manifested is also the solution. And the solution is following the map.
But Bernie's wanting to know, how does it arrive at that point, and I think I have an answer. I think what you want to know is, it's just a way of, a new way of thinking, or a new way
No, it's a way of healing.
No, but he wants to know how your consciousness gets there.
Yeah, what does it go to?
It just,
What is there? What is there that's there?
it experiences in a different way, Bernie, not the same way that it did before.
I'll go over that more. Let me just give the map. But it's, on this level, of course, it's an emotional level. So, it's also a chemical level. So it's not a physical place. It's, remember, we said none of this exists.
Yeah.
It's just a direction.
You're not getting in a metro, you know, or sitting in a car and driving there.
No.
Really?
So, Jared, one thing that reminded me with the skeletons and the clothing. So Kevin Rinpoche said, the good thing about negative actions is they can be purified.
Right.
So most of us are kind of afraid, we like to keep it under lock because we think that's who we are.
Right. The thing about Kabbalists, which Bernie should be interested in, is that a lot of them were scientists in their times, and even today. Some of the foremost, Ginsberg, he was a head of the mathematics department in Yale. And I forget his name, the one who looked at the mathematics of all this was considered the Einstein of our times. So a lot of them are attracted to this because a lot of this can be translated into mathematics. So a lot of these are, in a sense, deeper that I don't want to go into, but mathematical formulas, at least if you read those words, those works. So, but it's a process of spiritual healing is what this map is. So Netzach is allowing, and that emptying process has to take until it's completely empty. Okay? Now what happens, so right now we're going in an orderly direction. So we've gone here. When it leaves Netzach, when you come to the point where you now have released everything that's unconscious, no matter how many lifetimes it takes you, then we go to the next level, which is the mental level, which is up to, remember we talked about Din, or Gevurah? What takes place there after you've emptied? Anybody remember what Din is?
Information, right?
Yeah, that's where everything is defined.
What did you say?
That's the definition of things. That's the level of distinction.
What did you say?
Judgment and definition.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when we decide that this is one thing and something else is something else. That's the level of duality. So in the healing process, at this level, we go into grief.
Grief?
Grief. Now the Kabbalists, when they talk about grief, they talk about it in a very different way. When we think about grief, we think about melancholy and sad. They said it's coming to terms with something that can't be fixed. In other words, what's lost forever. So in this lifetime, it's being in your 60s and knowing you're never going to be in your 20s again, or having somebody, an incomplete relationship that you can't fix in this lifetime. So it's going to the level of experience what's lost that can never be regained. So if you had this ability or this potential and you never utilized it well, that's grief. So it converts as part of healing from distinction into releasing the loss, in a sense, of healing the loss. Now, every human being that's gone through life has loss. You lose something, whether it's loved ones, material objects, health, opportunities. And until you come to terms with that, you can't go to the next level. So the next level of healing on the mental level is chesed. So what emerges is on the way from chesed